I wanted to reconnect with my child that I hadn't seen. Her name is Aisha. I learned that my daughter passed while I was in treatment. I was on step 3. I didn't even know she had died because I'd been too busy on the street, being angry with the world, smoking crack. If I was an alcoholic, I wouldn't have the stigma. But crack cocaine, for a black woman, the scorn is different. And in my culture, at that time, it's a disgrace and disgust. Recovery has given me value. It's helped me understand my value as a woman, as a human being.
Hello and welcome to 12 Steps and 12 Questions. My name is Silvio and I'm an addict. This pod is full of personal and inspirational stories of recovery from addiction. And in every episode I'll ask each guest the same 12 questions about their life, addiction and recovery. Quick warning, there will be some graphic descriptions and a healthy amount of swearing. For this episode, please welcome Angelina.
Hi Angelina.
Hi.
Thank you very much for coming and thank you very much for being part of 12 Steps and 12 Questions of this new episode today.
Thank you for asking me.
My pleasure indeed.
It's my privilege to be of service. Very grateful.
Wonderful. Let's go straight into question 1, which is, did you have any adverse childhood experiences?
I was raised in foster care. And whilst I was in foster care, I experienced a lot of physical abuse. My mum was a very harsh woman. And my sister was very abusive to me. So she did a lot of stuff like, she used to hit me, poke me, spit at me. She threw hot water on me. I learned very quickly while living in this condition that, if I got into favour with my mum, because my mum was very temperamental as well. So when things were good, it was good. But she used to threaten me with this, I'll put you in a home if you don't behave and stuff like that. So I behaved.
Sounds quite dramatic and coercive and abusive.
Yeah, it was. But I think because I was a child at the time, I didn't really, there's not much I can do.
Mm.
And I lived under this condition, up until, I think 16 is when I started to discover boys and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I was never truly happy. I always used to think, I can't wait to get out of this house.
Mm.
I can't wait to be away from these people.
So there was some awareness there that this wasn't normal.
Yeah. I mean, as I got older, yeah, I can't stand my sister. I've never really gotten on with her. A lot of it is surface stuff today. My mum, I didn't fully understand why she behaved the way she did. I did honestly think that she didn't accept me as her child, because I'm not blood related to my mum and my sister.
Just for better understanding, are they blood related?
Yes.
I see.
Yes. So I come from my foster mum knew my natural mum and her dad. My mum was friends, this West Indian, everybody knew each other sort of thing, very small community.
Mm.
So my foster mum used to look after me on a regular basis, and then my mum just didn't want me. And my mum went to the courts, the family courts, and she fought for me. At that time, it was me and my brother, but my mum didn't have the space for my brother. So she chose me, and I don't know where my brother is now. And that's how I got to stay there.
So sorry if I'm being a bit slow, but your mother couldn't keep both of you, your natural mother?
No, my foster mum, sorry, I'm not sorry, my foster mum took our case to the family
I
court,
see.
and she wanted me and my brother, but she didn't have the space in her
I
house
understand.
for both of us, so she only took me, and that's how I ended up being in her foster care until the age of 18.
Right.
I had been living with my foster mum from birth, but I used to go back and forth to my natural grandparent. My natural mother, very rarely looked after me.
Right.
I don't even remember her, to be honest.
Right. Do you know why she didn't look after you? Why she gave you away, very much quote unquote?
My natural mum is a very shallow woman, and I don't know how true this is, but it has stayed with me for years, because I think when you're a child and you're told something that is horrible, you kind of remember it and you carry it with you for the rest of your life. So the excuse that I was given why I was placed in foster care was because I was ugly. So whether it's true or not, it has stayed with me all my life, and it's still with me to this day. My foster mum did tell me this on numerous occasions, and as I said, when you're a child, you kind of just take it, really. You don't, because you know, there's no way of getting out of a situation that you're in like that. So I did experience a few things underneath that roof. Sexual abuse, and it took me a long time to even out emotionally. It took me a long time. Later, in my later years, I come to find out that my foster mum did have mental health issues, and that is the only saving grace she has from me, from my heart, because I know that she wasn't in her right mind when she treated me the way that she did. As for my sister, look, I put it like this: I am polite, I am respectful, I speak to my sister like I would any other human being. My sister can't hurt me today, you know, so I'm not scared. Do you know what I mean? I'm a grown woman, so I don't need to you know, bring up the past and you know, get all emotional about it. I don't need to do that. I understand better today, and I was able to process this stuff when I came into recovery, because that's the only place I did it.
Yeah.
I didn't do it before now.
So, to state the obvious, this is a childhood where a lot of stuff is very much stacked against you. Physical abuse. You've even spoken about sexual abuse. You had an awareness that this isn't quote unquote normal, that there's something not quite right about this, you said.
Oh, I knew. I knew that the family weren't my family. You know, it made it obvious enough. And my mum raised me, and she raised me when my natural mum wouldn't, and probably couldn't.
Did you feel abandoned?
I still do sometimes. I still do. Rejection, all that stuff. Yeah, yeah. So, and even now when I go and visit, I mean, I haven't been in a long time, but when I visit, I don't go with the mentality that I am family. I don't go with the mentality that I'm family. I go to see the woman that raised me. I have a lot of respect for her. And I've kind of turned out, I think I'm pretty decent.
I think you're very decent. So question 2 is, what did the moment look like when you first got hooked? What did the fun times look like? So here you are.
Oh gosh, here we go.
You've got this background, very difficult upbringing, very difficult childhood, and here you are coming into this world with this background. How did it carry on from there? What happened?
Oh, well, I remember when I first met my children's dad, and he's a couple of years older than me, so that would put him at 18. I was 16. And I mean, prior to that time, I used to hang around with her name's Lizzie. We call her Lizzie, but her house was like the go-to house. You know, the mum used to smoke weed. At that time, it was ash. We used to get little £5 I can't believe what you're talking. These little £5 square floor tile looking type things, and
Dark brown.
Yeah. Like, I used to think I was, like, oh, look at me, but and we used to sit around and bill a spliff, and and that was my, at that time, I felt a part of, and I felt accepted in that environment.
In that house with
Yeah.
the cool mom.
Yeah.
The weed, the hash.
Yeah. And
Was that your first drug, hash?
Yes, yeah. I've tried, I've tried Ease, I've tried LSD. I didn't like that one. Oh, I didn't like that. I have tried heroin. I can't do that one either. I am alcohol, crack cocaine, weed, hash. If it's there, I'll smoke it.
So the fun times. So you're in this house, you're having a good time.
Yeah.
How did it go from there?
I think it didn't really. It was kind of moderate for me. I used to have a spliff or half a spliff because I now understand that my tolerance was low then, and that was kind of okay. But when I met my children's dad, he was, what I now know is he was more like an adult. He did adult stuff. So, and his mum never really bothered with him like that. There were no rules. It's not like we had to hide the weed or the ash or anything. He because she smoked herself. She drank, and I kind of started drinking. Drinking is my primary drug of choice. Even though I smoked the hash, it was the alcohol that kind of got me. I preferred.
What did it do for you?
Wow, do you know what? I think the first time I got drunk, I didn't actually like it. I was on the floor. I was crawling. I felt really sick. But it made me not care about anyone. I knew I was gonna get probably a whooping, like a beating when I got home. I didn't care.
Wrong.
Yeah, but I didn't care. My mum, and I did get in trouble, but honestly, I didn't care. And I went out and I repeated the behaviour again. Maybe not with spirits, but it was beers and stuff like that. And it made me disconnect from my norm. I was living in a house with people that I didn't really get on with, and for me, I didn't fit in there. I knew I wasn't family. I knew the way that I was treated in terms of, like, I was the skivvy. I did all the dirty work, cleaned up the dog shit and stuff like that. So, I think I didn't care.
So here you are with this new boyfriend, I take it, right? And, so you're drinking a bit, you're smoking a bit.
Yeah, and and then I got pregnant very early. I got pregnant with my daughter, Colette, at 17.
Unplanned, I suppose.
Yeah, nothing was, it weren't planned. I started rebelling. Like, I just never used to go home. I was always at his house. I think even he thought to himself, because he said to me like, "Hey, you gone home yet?" And I'd be like, "No." I started, and I had behaviours long before that anyway, because I used to bunk off school with Lizzie, because Lizzie, that's what we did as kids. We bunked off until I got caught, and then I stopped doing that. But I just started to not go home, and yeah.
So there were behavioural issues before that.
Oh yeah. I did a little bit of shoplifting. Wasn't good at that. I got caught. But yeah, and because in at home, I was quite withdrawn. I didn't really say much. Quiet. So.
And so your first daughter arrives.
Yeah.
And were you drinking? Were you smoking? Or did you manage to stop during that time?
No, I stopped during that time. Because I didn't think I had any issues with drugs or alcohol. I saw that as recreational. Now when I look back at it, I was well on my way, because I drank a lot, I smoked a lot. The only thing was that I managed to stop. And then obviously my end of care was coming up. So social services gave me some money. I got a place and they gave me some money to furnish it. I think it was like, I don't know how much it was, but it was put there for like end of care release sort of thing. So I got this money and this flat. And then her dad moved in. And that's when the problems started. That's when my life just took. And I never thought it would be like that, but it really was.
It took a turn.
Yeah.
What did that look like?
I'll tell you what it looked like. Empty bottles everywhere, cans everywhere. Domestic violence.
Between you and your partner?
Yeah. It was miserable. The flat was, and the flat was dingy. It wasn't like it was a nice, beautiful place to live. It was on the 5th floor, no lift.
So consequences are starting to appear.
Well, it's not a good start to anyone's life. I mean, if you're, I'm supposed to be transitioning into adulthood. And I that was no transition.
Were you drinking every day at this point?
We both were, me and Colette's dad. We both were. I mean, unbeknown to me, he was a practicing alcoholic too. We both drank. I'm not sure. I'm not going to sit here and say that I never drank as much as him, because I can't be sure. But we both drank. I did make efforts to get a job, and have some kind of normality, but it just didn't materialise the way that I wanted it to. I stayed with Colette's dad for 13 years.
It's a long time.
Yeah, 13 years I stayed with him. Yeah.
And you had more children?
So, I had Jacob. So we moved from the first accommodation, and they offered me another one not much better. Different area, different. It's in Hackney, on an estate, and I don't know. Maybe for a time, it was okay. You know, you normalize this stuff. It's part of your thing. But I was working. I did have periods where, when I lived at the second accommodation, I worked for Hilton in Islington. I was employed there I think I was there for like 2 years. So I was very early in my 20s. I couldn't have been no more than 23 to 25, something like that.
And at this point, you're drinking, you're smoking.
Yeah. So not so much the smoking, but the drinking. And my work life was every Friday, because Islington High Street is nuts. And at that time, it was lively. You had what they call them now? God, I'm getting old. What do they call them? They're not bars.
Lounges?
But they had so you have the bar and then you have like the dance floor.
Right.
You have like the dance floor. So we used to go there after work on a Friday and get pissed. And then, we'd have to get up and come in the next day, and I used to make it in. I thought I was, this is good. It didn't help my relationship though. The dad didn't like it at all.
And looking back at it now, did you think of yourself at the time as being an alcoholic? Would you say that this was the moment? Not at all, huh?
No, I thought I was out having a great time. If anyone told me I was going to be an addict, I would have said, "Oh, what's that then?"
Yeah.
Because the thought of being, and the thought never came into my head, because I never thought I was an addict. I thought I was someone who enjoyed a drink like everybody else. I went out and did what everyone else did. There wasn't any real consequences for me at the time, externally anyway. My issues at the time was the children's dad not really liking me going out to work, because that meant he had to stay home and look after the kids. But he was a control freak anyway, and...
So you had no consequences at that time. When did they start coming in?
Not too long, maybe a few years later, couple of years later, I would say, consequences started to come. I can't remember exactly when social services got involved, but when they did, it was serious. So Lizzie, the one with the cool mum, she introduced me to crack cocaine. So I was, at that time, I'm going to say I was about 26. And I remember this. And then I took it upon myself to go and seek out this drug. And I remember trying to find it and people looking at me going, "What?"
Let me get this straight. You were drinking quite heavily, and there were some issues at home, or quite a few issues at home and things, and you had somehow picked up that there's this drug out there called crack.
Yeah. My friend Lizzie, her mum, she introduced me to crack cocaine. I had my first pipe in her house.
And what was that like?
I've never had a buzz like it since. Never. In all the years I've used, I have never come close to that one hit.
I think this is something we share. Addicts, all of us really, in one way or another, is that first time. It's like my first ecstasy pill. It's a semi-religious experience.
Yeah, it was wow. I remember looking at her and thinking, this is all right, but I've never experienced that feeling again. Don't get me wrong. Been high, you know, but that's a different kind of high after that, you know, and the years that followed that initial first experience, it's actually worse. It's not something you enjoy, you know, but that initial experience there. And I remember it was on a cup. She had it, because I didn't know what all this stuff was, you know, but I remember she had it on a cup and this little white thing. And when she did that, I think it was a good while after that. I'm going to say at least 6 months after that I took it upon myself to go and look for this. And even the people that I asked looked at me and said, "You don't want that. What do you know about that?" And I was like, because I didn't know what it was called either. It was, I'll tell you, this is what I did, nuts. I don't even know why I even did it. I can't sit here and tell you why. I don't really know why. But I took it upon myself to go and find this stuff.
And find it you did?
I did find it. You know, and it stayed with me for years.
Yeah. Which brings us to question 3. What were your worst consequences? And finally, your rock bottom. So you've had a few crack pipes. You experienced that incredible high at the very first time. And then things progressed from there, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, they escalate. Nothing stays. You know, it wasn't, you know, I didn't use and feel, well, this is great. In the beginning, yeah, especially when you've got money, you know, and because I think for me as well, like, I used with the same people. I never really stepped outside of that circle. And I quickly got to realise what you should and shouldn't do when you are smoking with people who you think are your friends, because there are no friends in this.
So what should and shouldn't you do?
Don't leave your shit on the table. Don't let no one know you've got any money. It was things like that. And if anyone asks you for any sexual favours, say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what it was. I didn't know that this environment came with, I don't know how to explain it, conditions.
Sure. Yeah.
Is that the best way?
Sounds like a good one.
Yeah, it comes with conditions.
With rules.
Yeah, and these rules, they're not nice ones. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't engage in anything, because I did. But looking back, it's not a nice, it's not a nice way to remember.
Yeah.
Because what I actually did was I devalued myself. You know, all for the sake of what?
In order to get crack, you mean?
Yeah.
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 So the consequences came when social services found out that I was using. I've had my children removed, placed on the interim care order. That interim care order means that, you know, social services take over parental responsibility. So I don't really have no say. I've been removed from my family home and put on the street by social services. And the dad, who was actively being abusive, moved into my house.
If you're enjoying this podcast and would like other addicts and alcoholics to hear it, then please make the pesky AIs and algorithms work their 12th step. Hit like and subscribe.
That only escalated my using even more.
Yeah.
Because...
Were you using every day?
After a while, yeah. After a while. And I mean, and if I had no money, I mean, this kind of stuff, I was around people that had all the time. Somebody somewhere had something, you know, and if it wasn't this person, it was that person. And then I started going to different different locations to use. You know, sometimes I'd be at one location for a week. Sometimes I'd be at one location for 3 days. I didn't have anywhere to live. I was all over the place.
You didn't see your children in that time?
Very sporadic.
Yeah.
Very sporadic. I saw them on and off, but it, didn't have anywhere to live.
Did you, at some point in that time, started thinking and get some awareness that you were deep in the shits, really?
Yeah, but I'm angry now. Emotionally. Right. I'm angry. So, yeah, I knew I was in trouble. But I was also isolated. I felt isolated. I didn't have anyone to talk to. It's all good and well wanting to get out of a predicament, but how?
Yeah.
Social services are not helping me, and my family think I'm especially like the children's dad's side of the family. They thought I was the pits. Because it's a weird thing. If I was an alcoholic, I wouldn't have the stigma. I wouldn't have the scorn. But crack cocaine, for a black woman, the scorn is different. And in my culture, it's at that time, I don't really know how it is now, but at that time it's a disgrace and disgust and do you know what I mean? And worse, because you're meant to be the mother, you're meant to be the nurturer, how could you?
And did you feel like you were letting your children down, or were you just angry?
All the time. All the time.
It's a terrible place.
I think so, and I think there are periods now where I think, why did I do that? Why did I not do that? I don't sit and dwell in it, but I do. I have these passing thoughts. Because I'm clean and sober today doesn't mean I don't reflect back and think. There's always, for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but I think for me, I'll always carry a little bit of shame and remorse. I'll always have it. I don't think it completely removes. I don't think, yes, handing over your will to the care of God as you understand him, she or it, that's fine. All this stuff is fine, but I'm a human being. I do have regrets. And I put myself through a lot of stuff, unnecessary, all because I wanted to be accepted. And it's only when you get older and you come into recovery, you realise actually you don't even need half this stuff. It's all crap.
You're in this really difficult place, so you're disappearing into crack dens for 3-4 days at a time.
Yeah, well, it's all over the place. Yeah.
And then, if we're coming to the second part of the question, you rock bottom or rock bottoms. How did it progress then?
To rock bottom?
If there was such a thing. Not everybody has them, of course, but how did it progress?
I think rock bottom is when I found out my daughter died while I was in custody. And whether it was because of my substance misuse or not, because I've had this conversation, I've tried to go over it with other people that are familiar with my case. And although I've been told it's not my fault, and it's not that I want to lay the blame at myself, but it's because of the person that I was at that time. Why my daughter died. She didn't die at my hands, but she died nevertheless. I can't explain the feeling in the pit of my soul. I don't think anything else has touched me as deeply as that.
Yeah.
I don't care what's happened to me during my drug use, but that, it's altered my perception of people and my life.
Of course.
And, yes, I relapsed into, because it's not like I don't want a better life. you know. I definitely don't want that one. But okay, so I'm just going to kind of if you don't mind, I'm just going to explain this. So, as a consequence of my using as well, I have got 2 custodial sentences behind me, 2. And I found out my daughter died on the first custodial sentence. So,
for those people who are not familiar with the term custodial sentence.
So I was in prison. I was jailed in 2011 for a serious crime.
Related to you using?
Yes, both occasions, yes. It was violence, the first one. I received a sentence of 5 years. I was released in 2014, and I had 2, and then I did the rest of my time on license. Basically, I had probation for 2.5 years, and that probation finished in 2016. That probation finished, and then so in 2014, when I was released from custody, and then I moved into a property, and my son came to live with me. And, both of my sons come to live with me. And life was good.
Were you not using then?
No, I wasn't.
So you managed to stop?
Yeah, I stopped. I stayed clean from 2011 to I'm going to say the end of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Got myself into university. And at the time I was studying substance misuse with psychology. And I was going to the University of West London.
So quite a turnaround.
It's possible. Anything is possible.
You did this without a program? Or did you find had you found the rooms then?
I'd found the rooms. I mean, I did. I was fortunate enough to do wrapped in custody in 2012. So I did a 12-step program in custody. I did it in HMP Send.
What was it called?
Oh, wrapped. So it's Rehabilitation for Addicted Prisoners Trust. That was the name of the 12-step program that was running at that time. It's now changed to, I think it's Forward First. I'm not sure. I don't really have much to do with them anymore because they've changed hands now. They're not the same people as before, but they are still running the 12-step program in HMP Send, as far as I know.
So you went to prison, you found the solution.
Yeah.
And you come out, life's good.
Yeah.
Let's just pause there for a second. And
I think I've confused the situation.
Not so.
Yes.
But then you relapsed later on, and then you came into the rooms.
I relapsed. And so this relapse got me another custodial. So I went back into custody, HMP Bronzefield at this time, and I was there from 2019, and I was released in 2021. When I was released in 2021, I was released into Kairos. So Kairos has these, they have a criminal justice pathway. So I was released and housed through them.
Sure.
And as a condition, you have to attend meetings. Right. And that's what I did. But I was familiar with meetings prior to this.
Yeah.
And I had a sponsor prior to this.
Did you, just to fill in the blanks a little bit.
Yeah.
So you worked the proper 12-step program while you were in prison?
Yeah.
But it was also around this time that you learned that your daughter had passed?
Yes. So I learned that my daughter passed while I was in treatment. I was on step 3. So during the treatment process, what happened was I disclosed to my group that I was in treatment with, that I wanted to reconnect with my child that I hadn't seen. Now, my daughter was born in 2004. Her name is Aisha. I took the steps, the necessary steps to find her, and it came back that she died in 2007.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
In a plane crash. So initially, when I heard the news, I didn't even know she had died, because I'd been too busy on the street, being angry with the world, smoking crack. So that's my rock bottom. Okay, and I mean, I know I deviated away from the question. And I think as well, with my life, there's been so much carnage. The timeline, because it's that much.
It's not linear. No. But that's the story of so many addicts.
It's mad.
It's the story of so many addicts. It's sometimes enough for 2 or 3 lifetimes. It's the back and forth.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I couldn't tell you the amount of times I've moved. I've done geographicals. You know, I've done all sorts. I just sometimes I don't know how I'm still alive. Sometimes some of the shenanigans I've pulled during my thing. Your question about rock bottom, there is no lower for me. And you know, rock bottom for me is not about the external losses. You can replace them. It's your emotional house. It's your heart. It's your soul. It's your mind. I never want to feel like that again.
Yeah. At your worst, and that's our question 4, did you ever want to die? Did you consider suicide?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because, you know, my cycle was I'd spend every penny, I'd be in debt, but the come down was horrible. And when you have nothing left, no more alcohol, no more cigarettes, no more dog-ins, no more nothing, that's when this dread, because you got sober up now and face the music for whatever bullshit, it's just a nasty feeling.
It's the worst feeling in the fucking world.
It's dread. It is absolute dread.
Yeah.
And I have memories of not wanting to go out. You know, I have to leave the person's house, or I've got to go home, or if I've got one. But do you know what I mean? I had to get up and do something. And there's days I've been in the same clothes for, oh God, a week. Do you know what I mean? That ain't no life. But at the time, and as sick as this sounds, if somebody said to me, and here's a pipe, I don't feel dread no more.
Yeah.
That's gone. Start the whole cycle.
Again.
All over again.
So, I always think that there is, even if you don't actively try to take your own life, there is a suicidal aspect to the kind of using that we do, right? In other words, if you're smoking X amount of pipes, there is a suicidal aspect to this. You know you could go over.
Yeah. And sometimes I wish I did.
Yeah.
You know, it's you know, when you, I mean, I was in a position, I've been in a position where, like, you know, it's not live. You know, when I left the children's dad, I didn't meet anyone better.
Yeah.
I didn't move on to greater things. I declined, and I met somebody who was worse than him, and then worse than that one, and then that one and that one, to the point where I retaliate, and I end up in jail for the. I end up in jail
For the violence.
for the violence
Against this man.
Yeah, well, you know, and I'm not condoning violence. I'm not saying what I did was right, but if I didn't, it might have been me. You know, I don't want that lifestyle. But that is part, I don't know for any other females, I don't know, but that has been my experience. You know, any relationship I've had under that condition, violence has been a part of it. Some kind of violation has been a part of it. You know? So
so you've done recovery twice, really, in a way.
Yeah.
So during your first custodial sentence, and then again in
21.
Yeah, in 2019 to 21. Or 21 when you came out.
I came out in 21.
Yeah.
But I've been clean since the 14th of January 2019. And when you're in custody, you don't want what they've got selling in there. But yeah, and I'm fortunate really because I did the RAPT program in HMP Send, and I did that. I graduated from that in 2013. So that saved my life, because that was where I understood the obsession and the illness, the disease of the mind. You know, the doctor's opinion. Because when I read that, I understood what was wrong with me.
And before we get into the steps and into our program, question 5: what other methods did you try to get sober before finding the rooms?
Oh gosh, the reward system is the best one, I think. The reward system. Oh, you know what? I haven't smoked for like a week or two. I just treat myself to a little cheeky one. You know, I've done the shopping, I've done the gas and electricity. Look how well I've done. Look, I deserve something here. And, you know, rather go and buy myself a pair of shoes, you know, or a nice dress or something, I go and phone the crack dealer and I want a stone. You know, this little micro dot that just sends me nuts, because now I want more.
Yeah.
And I've opened the door to this vicious cycle again.
So you tried moderation?
I've tried moderation.
I'm kind of hearing it kind of failed.
Well, I made up for it because I smoked more. I've done the geographicals. You know, this time it's different. I don't know anybody, but I have a good nose for who smokes. I can look at you and think, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I've stopped people in the street. You know where I can get something from? I'm new around here. They've gone. They looked at me and they've gone, yeah, come on. Weird.
Yeah. I don't have it anymore, but I used to, people would come up to me in the streets, you know, or you walk past, like, you know, somewhere in a dodgy place, you walk past people and they're just nodding at you, winking at you, kind of, yes, mate, yes, what is it, mate? Yes, mate. You know, I used to get all the time. I've lost it in the meantime. You know, I and sometimes I'm thinking, like, sometimes I feel almost invisible, but it's a good thing, obviously. Yeah. We find each other. It's like an underground network.
But this is the thing. I can sniff it out. It doesn't matter where I go.
No pun intended.
You're too funny, you.
So when you came into the rooms, first time and second time, right?
Yeah.
And that is our question number 6. Did you struggle with the word God?
Yeah, I did. I remember when I was in treatment, and we used to go into this group room, and they had the 12 steps on this long kind of scroll hook thing, and I remember reading it from 1 to 12, and I was thinking, God, there's a lot of God in it, like. And I remember looking around thinking, what's this? Yeah. Like, and I remember looking at it, and I was a bit intimidated at first with the word God, because my concept of God is this, this punishing, my head at the time was like, because it's about being worthy, and I've done so many bad things, like, God ain't gonna forgive me.
You won't like me.
Yeah. And my head started to go, it's already working before I've had a chance to even understand what this thing is actually saying to me. I don't struggle with the word God anymore.
Yeah.
I don't use it actually. I don't use the word God. I've replaced it with good orderly direction.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I aim for on a daily basis.
Which sort of brings us straight to question 7, really, which is, how do you experience good orderly direction? How do you experience your higher power?
How do I express my higher power? Sometimes if I sit still long enough, I don't want to sound like I'm mad here, like I hear voices.
I think we're all mad. It's okay.
But I kind of feel, I feel peaceful, and if I'm seeking an answer to a question that I don't quite understand, it does come.
Yeah.
You know, I have moments of realization, better understanding, you know, and I don't feel that internal turmoil, conflict anymore. I don't have it. I never thought I would feel like that. A lot of the things that I thought mattered don't. A lot of the things I thought I needed, I don't. Whatever I wanted, I don't want it now. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not broken.
Yeah.
I still live.
Yeah.
You know, you know, and I learned this. I learned, and I gained a better understanding of this process when my sponsor took me through the steps, and I gained a better understanding of my childhood and the processes that went with it. I gained a better understanding of myself. You know, I feel better.
Yeah.
I do. I feel better. I'm not without, you know, I'm not, but I feel better. I just can't describe it. And my this peaceful spirit that does sit with me, because I as well, I've got to say this, like, I take it for granted sometimes, because I just, you know, I go about my daily business and I'm huffing and puffing and running around and whatever, and I don't take time and sit. Everything I have in my life is because of this.
Yes. Same here.
Everything, you know. So, and it's just a nice feeling, that peace. My mind has slowed down a lot as well.
Yeah, I think peace of mind is, and peace in my heart, I think, are definitely the most important ways of me experiencing my higher power. Obviously, also just the mere fact that I'm not using or drinking or thinking of using or drinking.
And you know what? And it's nice. It's nice to wake up in the morning and remember what you did yesterday. You know what you did yesterday. It's nice, but it's nice to be a part of something normal, nothing, because that's I can only associate it with darkness.
Yeah.
You know?
So you've done the steps at least twice, I take it.
Yeah, I've done twice.
Yeah. Which part of the steps, and that's our question 8, were the most difficult for you?
Step 4. I did not like step 4 at all. When I did my first step 4, I was thorough. I went in there fearless because I didn't have anything to lose. A lot of it was to do around childhood, what happened, who I think did me an injustice. You know, I had a lot of them. Me and my sponsor went through that. No, I apologise. Me and my counsellor went through my step 4, because I was still in treatment when I did my first step 4. My first step 4. My second step 4, I did it with sponsor. I've done 3 step 4s actually. And then my last step 4, I did it with Laura. That one weren't too bad. I didn't have many in that one. I was quite pleased actually.
Once you got a few out of the way.
And yeah, and what I think for me as well, it's like, it's the bit where it says, and where did you know, what hand did you play in it then? What was your part? And you know, it's honesty and that. And it's not nice. You've done something you're not supposed to do. How did you encourage the situation, Angelina? And I said, nothing. I don't want to run that. I don't want to do that. But if you don't go through the process, that's, I say step 4 is the hardest because it's cleaning house. That's what step 4 is. You clean house, no stone left unturned. Because if you don't, you're keeping something.
And that will...
And eventually it will. And it will resurface somewhere down the line. None of us are perfect. None of us. But that process, when people say to me, I'm on my step 4, and I go...
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, step 4 was the most difficult for me too. And and the idea of admitting that I had a part in where I was clearly wronged, right?
That's what I mean.
I didn't want to go there. I did not want to go there, but go there I did, and thankfully I did. So now that you've done the steps a few times and you've been sober for a while and so on, our question 9 is, which character defects give you most trouble?
I've got a few defects. I'm very distrustful. I'm getting better. I am trying. But I don't trust people at all. I've had too many bad experiences. I'm very sort of, I try. And I do talk to people. It just takes me a long time to...
Open up,
yeah. Just takes me a long time. Yeah. And I'm a perfectionist as well, which was brought to my attention. But I try to defend it. But this job that I do, that's what addicts do. They try to defend the behaviour. But I've learned you can't be a perfectionist. You can't. You can only do your best. And, so and judgmental. Yeah, sometimes when me and my children talk and they tell me about these girls and and I get a bit like, hey, she nasty. But yeah, I try and not, I do try and, I watch my defects, but the distrustful one, it does hinder me a little bit.
Question 10, what is the best thing recovery has given you?
Oh my God. The best thing recovery has given me is hope for the future. I can actually make plans. I can make plans, and, I can, it's just nice to be able to, I don't know, I said, after Christmas, I'm going to start looking or exploring what options where I can use my degree. I want to work with the criminal justice system.
What is your degree?
So I'm doing psychology with counselling, but I'm gonna wait for something to present itself to me. Not necessarily go and look for it, but I am going to explore. There's nothing stopping me from exploring different avenues. And I want to stay within the substance misuse, but I want to go in the prison system to do it. But I wouldn't be able to speak like this or even write the assignment that needs to be submitted if I was using.
Yeah.
Because the two lives, they don't go together.
No, they're mutually exclusive.
One counteracts the other. It knocks out the other, and those who are trying to lead a double life always fail. Recovery has given me a better eyesight. I can see what's in front of me now. When I'm high and I'm drunk, my vision's blurred. I'm vulnerable.
Yeah.
I'm emotionally vulnerable. I'm pliable. I'm easily, I go with anything, me. I'm all right because I think it's okay. It's not okay. It's dangerous as well. I devalue myself. So recovery has given me value. It's helped me understand my value as a human being and as a woman. And, you know, I got life as well. Like, my kids there, well, they're not kids, but yeah, hope for the future.
Wonderful. Question 11. What would you say to a newcomer or someone wondering if they're an addict?
I'd say to the newcomer, give this a chance. You know, when I first came into the world of recovery, I thought, my first thought was, what, people actually live sober? I didn't think it was possible, but it really is. And if you don't give this a chance, you're stopping yourself from what your true potential is. Yeah, because you don't know who you are underneath all that. You don't know who you are, you know, and that, the using and the drinking will stop you, and the consequences, some of them you won't be able to reverse. Give this a chance, give yourself a chance, and if you really want a life, you keep coming back, you stay connected. If you're wondering if you're an addict, well, if you don't know whether you're an addict, you'll soon know whether you're one when you got the consequences piling up at your doorstep and you've burnt all your bridges. Yeah, because it comes. It's part and parcel of the baggage. Nobody uses and then comes away from a situation feeling invigorated. Oh, we must do this again next week. You're broken. It doesn't work like that. And you know, if you are not experiencing that emotional turmoil, that guilt, that shame that comes, you know, the three-headed horseman that they describe in the big book, shame, guilt and remorse. If you feel that every time you use, you need to find yourself in the meeting.
And to our last question, question 12. What do you want your higher power, good orderly direction, to say to you at the pearly gates?
Hi, Angelina. You finally came home.
Ah, wonderful. Thank you so much, Angelina. Thank you so much for your honesty, for your pearls of wisdom, and for your courage.
Don't know about pearls of wisdom.
What a beautiful message.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've come to the end of this episode. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed it and would like other addicts and alcoholics to hear it, then please make the pesky AIs and algorithms work their 12th step. Hit like and subscribe. While this pod is based on the 12-Step Recovery Program, it's not officially affiliated with any 12-Step fellowship. 12 Steps and 12 Questions is not substance or behavior specific, it's fully self-supporting and not-for-profit. And you know this next bit. It's not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, and it neither endorses nor opposes any causes.